Karibu katika makala ya The Football Slip. Na nilikuwa napitia tu baadhi ya taarifa ambazo zimegonga vichwa vya habari hii leo katika magazeti mitandaoni kule ng'ambo. Pogba's doping ban reduced to 18 months after CS CAS appeal. Alafu Ratcliffe anasemaje? Ten Hag's decision not my call. Mimi ni wako Hassan Juma. Na sipo peke yangu, I'm not alone. I'm with my, okay, they're not my colleagues, they're also my friends. Nianze na wapi? Nianze na this Parisian. French guy. Bro, kwema?
Kwema nashukuru.
What should guys expect from the biggest, the most bold newspaper in the country?
Of course, tomorrow we have covered the counter to Chicago Marathon. That is Amos Kipruto, who will be making his debut on that event and is looking forward maybe to win it in honor of the later Kelvin Kiptum. And also we are looking forward to previewing the FKF Women's Premier League, which kicks off officially tomorrow. Though it's clouded, there are a lot of issues that is ranging from lack of sponsorship, lack of broadcast partnership, to maybe low pay to the players, and also maybe we're looking now towards to also Eric Ten Hag.
There's no pay parity.
Of course. Yeah. There's no. That's our biggest challenge. But you know, it needs to be addressed based on the fact that right now we are talking more about women football in the Kenyan sporting arena, because women actually have done well. And as we speak, this month the junior starlets will be making their debut in that under-17 competition and the first ever Kenyan football team to participate at the World Cup.
Bila shaka. Mkangai, ebu geuka kidogo watu waangalie kumeandikwa je shati yako. Na watu SMG sema na machanini.
Nafikiria hapo itakuwa inaitwa shati.
Watu wanaona kule nyuma?
Iko sawa.
Ni Steven Mkangai.
Ni Steven Mkangai. SM. Kwema bro?
Wajua hii inamuuma sana Robio Kenya, inamuuma sana. Nafikiri Robio anashangaa huyu jamaa tumeangaika wote. Amenitafuta kwanza picha zangu za kitambo amerudisha mara nini. Sasa akiona vitu kama hivi anashangaa. Yaani jamaa ndio tunapambana hapa hivi yaani namna hii ndio hii sasa mpaka yuko branded. So Robia ana amani. Lakini nashukuru na ulipoanza kwamba mtu wa Paris nikafikiri utakuja sisi watu wa Jogoro ama Mombasa Road. Sasa Mungu ni mkubwa hujafika pale lakini tupo. Nafikiri tunashirikiana.
Watu watarajia nini? Radio zaidi ya radio.
Tunazungumzia maandalizi ya Junior Starlets kombe la dunia wamefika kule Dominica. Matayarisho tu kuona vile tutapambana za kina England. Alafu pia kuna Sekafa ile AFCON qualifier under 20. Alafu pia tunazungumzia Dar es Salaam amezungumzia ligi ya wanawake. Alafu wale wagombezi wanawania kiti cha urais wa shirikisho la soka ni kama waanza kutia baridi. Wametia baridi.
Shtemi is not vying. Hayuko kwa debe?
No, Shtemi hana financial muscle. Unajua
si financial, sina delegate mimi.
Kusimama hata kama uko tu branch chairman. I'm telling you, na mshahara wetu hapa uwezi. Usidanganywe.
Kwani wewe
Aujiwezi?
Okay, mimi nasema Shtemi hana uwezo.
Speak for yourself bwana. Wewe
umeniuliza.
Umesema mshahara.
Ngoja, umeuliza Shtemi asimame nikasema Shtemi hana financial muscle.
Lakini mimi niko na delegates.
Sasa hii ni kama umesimama nafikiri tofauti sana.
Niko na delegates.
Wameungana kitu tumeangazia. Nimeona wamekuja pamoja. Nimeona Kempes Papanya Mwea na Hussein wanasema kwamba wanaomba ile tume ya uchaguzi watoke Kandanda House. Wanasema kwamba sio neutral. Alafu wanasema wa dissolve IBC simamia uchaguzi, lakini sasa Kenya tuna IBC.
Lakini hata Mkangai kabla hujasema mambo ya IBC unaona kulikuwa na matamshi fulani kuwa ati IBC itakuwaje State House.
Wewe ngoja basi. Bro, ngoja naomba. Waishi bwana Tajma. Mtu wa mlima. Bro,
kuna meeting.
Watu wamegusa mlima mpaka wako hapo.
Nilikwambia ufanye nini?
Sikiza ground.
Fanya nini?
Sikiza.
Unaona vile ground iko?
Ground nasemaje?
Na hata hapa nimetulia.
Na taarifa hapa.
Nimetulia.
Na taarifa.
Kwa sababu ukisikiza ground, mlima nao ukiguza umekosa. Lakini unajua
ati Wakenya nasema nini? Kufa dereva, kufa makanga.
Sasa
ni Wakenya si Hassan Juma. Ni Wakenya.
Afu naweka zile Mabano ya.
Lakini kinachonifurahisha ni kwamba mwenye anatishwa naye atishiki. Yaani Mungu.
Mlimo anasemaje bro?
Unajua mimi nisema siasa na mpira wakati mwingi
Vinaingia.
kwa sababu ukiweka siasa wanasema uiweke wapi? Ukikohoa ifanye nini?
Hata mpira
weka pale. Ukikohoa ifanye nini?
Kwa hivyo unasema mambo ya ATH tuseke
Usiweke maneno ya ATH itakumaliza.
Robinson Okele. Wachawi wangu ndio hawa wanasema hata mpira bana. Haya matokeo haya Erik ten Hag tusiyaweke sana moyoni bana. Robi.
Hassan,
Naam.
nimesikia Kariuki anasema ati alisikiza ground. Pia mimi nilisikiza ground. Ground ikaniambia niulize Mkangai anatumia pesa ngapi kunyoa nywele. Sijui ama akiwa na wazo akijikuna kichwa na anakuna wapi. Yes, of course, Hassan, it's been a fantastic week when you talk about football. Yes, we've seen the Champions League, Europa League, a number of matches were on the cards. Lots of goals scored on match day 2 of both the Champions League and the Europa League, and of course, match day 1 of UEFA Europa Conference League. And we'll be talking about that later on in the show. And I am not alone. I am with the usual suspect, Cedric Musumba. Good evening. How are you, Cedric?
Very much fine, Robbie.
Yes. You enjoyed football this week. I mean, from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's been football the entire week.
Full of surprises.
Yes.
We have seen actually the Goliaths of the football industry being brought down by the Davids, and it was quite surprising. So many who would have invested heavily in those kind of teams. Quite interesting is like, there's now actually the permutation of the underdog has been swept.
The underdog is on top.
Swept off by the aspect of people thinking that maybe top 8 was just meant for the so-called big wings of that industry.
But it has changed. So, gentlemen, Cedric Musumba, Rogers Ishtemi, Stephen Mukangai, Daniel Kariuki, Hassan, I want us to take, each of you to take 45 seconds as we recap what happened this week. So, Dennis, let's begin with the Shabana. Now, Shabana on Saturday last week was supposed to play Posta Rangers at Gusii Stadium. That match did not take place because the referees said they were not sure of their security. Rogers Ishtemi, this has been talk of town the entire week. What did you make of this? Shabana said they collected 1.5 million from that match. What did you make of this, Ishtemi? 45 seconds.
Robinson, I think in the words of former Harambee Stars coach, that is Anthony Hay, abnormal is normal in Kenya. It's so saddening that we, at this particular age, referees can feel afraid of going to officiate a game, more so a game of FKPL caliber, whereby pre-match has already been done. Officials from both sides were in that pre-match. The FKF official also and the referee, and they discuss all these issues. So matters concerning security are always discussed during pre-match. But it's saddening that fans can make all their way to the pitch, to the stadium, ready to watch a game, and then all of a sudden, something happens weird. So actually that's a big shame, and we need to ask ourselves more questions than answers. What really transpired? The league organizers, the referees, chairman, they need to come out and tell the fans exactly what transpired, because actually that's just blackened out what we have gained maybe for the last 2 years or so, and now we are going back like maybe 100 steps. So it's really sad, and we need actually to ask more questions so that we know exactly when these things happen again, how will it be addressed, because nobody is talking about it right now, and Shabana fans are really mad. They need answers about exactly what the federation will do.
So that happened last week. Now, let's move on to another moment from this week. Cedric Musumba, Real Madrid, the defending champions of Champions League. They were beaten by Lille. 1-0 was the final score. What did not happen to Los Blancos?
It came like a surprise, but you could literally tell a team that was really inviting a defeat. They are coming from a really working tirelessly investing a lot of energy to ensure that actually they are really breaking teams in La Liga, of which they have been living until late before they come out with results. Coming to Lille, actually it was so surprising to an essence that these are star-studded kind of team, a team that has really invested a lot to bring all the so-called superpowers
Even
of the
Mbappe
industry.
was recalled to the squad.
But back in the trading arena, that value is not necessarily coming out as we expect. It's a team that is struggling, if you ask me. They are really grinding results. They are grinding goals at some point, the dying essence of the game, but they are not quite convincing. Going by how they are really struggling until waiting to the late into the game for him actually to register, sometimes even to come out with a draw, is really kind of an indicator that this is a team that is really working hard to grind results. I wasn't so much surprised seeing that Lille can really come ahead, put one goal behind the net of Real Madrid, and then seal it completely to a frustration kind of essence at the end of the game. And I think this has made them to go back to the drawing board and start asking them this hard question: that is it that the passes, that the killer passes were coming from Toni Kroos, when they happen now not to be available, Real Madrid will not go ahead and start scoring. And watching them, you could literally tell that that might be the essence of them actually start suffering, simply because those diagonal passes that could come by a surprise to reach the likes of Vinicius Jr., Rodriguez at the other end, they are not necessarily coming. They are trying to bring the ball at the middle of the center and are trying to drive it ahead, which is not the style that is really working for them.
So, aside from that, we move to the other top moment of the week. And Daniel Kariuki, ulisema wasiguze Mrima, lakini Mrima iliguzwa hii wiki. Aston Villa got a 1-0 win against Bayern Munich at Villa Park. Did you expect that?
Of course, Bayern Munich is not any other team. You remember last season, they really pushed in the group stages and they beat Manchester United. And Unai Emery is doing some good work at Aston Villa. Remember when he joined Aston Villa, the team was almost going for relegation, but he has managed to bring up the team almost to the Champions League. And beating Bayern Munich 1-0, it was not just something to be taken lightly. Remember the last time they did that was around 1982 when they played again Bayern Munich. And to be very frank is that this Unai knows how to do things in the Europe. Remember, he has also won Europa League at least 3 times, and also with Villarreal again once. That's 4 times in total. So it's not something new for him in the Europe competitions. And I think maybe Arsenal are not very patient with Unai Emery. He might have transformed the team maybe to the extent that he has done with Aston Villa, with some average players in that team.
Yes, thank you very much, Daniel Kariuki. Hassan Juma, the Red Devils seem not to be to have that, fear factor any longer. Yesterday, they settled for a 3-3 draw against FC Porto. They lost to Tottenham last week, 3-0. I mean, what's not happening at Old Trafford?
I think it's a mental issue. I feel like Erik ten Hag has lost the dressing room, Manchester United's dressing room. He was given the funds, he bought the players that he wanted. I feel like there are divisions in the dressing room. There are these Dutch so-called Ajax Dutch players, then there are these other players from other countries. There's that issue. Then the second issue is you have a player, you have a coach who's been given 2 matches. Win 2 matches, you'll retain your job. But if you lose these 2 matches, you'll be sacked. So I mean, it plays around with the players, wakicheza inasumbua psychologically, na pia the coach. Ukimwangalia, in fact, against FC Porto, Ruud van Nistelrooy was more of the coach than Erik ten Hag. So it's a mental issue that they need to address before facing Aston Villa.
Yes, Hassan.
Nam.
Can you take a look at the background behind you? Can you take a look at the background behind you? No, I can't see Hassan. Can you take a look at the background behind you? That reaction from Casemiro, that is what you normally do to your sleep. Now, let's move on. Arsenal were in action against PSG. Mkangai, Arsenal were in action against PSG. They got a 2-0 win. Mkangai, Arsenal wameonyesha kwamba this season they are not to be played with.
na nashukuru ukiangalia ulivyosema Arsenal msimu huu, na kuna kitu ambacho ile dark arts ni timu ambayo wanaweza cheza mpira kwa kuzuia na mpira pia utikitaka. Ukiangalia kitu ambacho Mikel Arteta ameweka katika vijana wake ni kujiamini kwamba mkiwa na mpira mnaweza cheza, bila mpira mnaweza cheza. Na kabla ya mechi Robbie alizungumza Luis Enrique akasema kwamba ni wazuri wakiwa bila mpira, na ukiangalia katika mpira wa soka wajua mpira unaanza kabla mfike uwanjani, mind games. Ni kwamba alikuwa ashatishiwa na Arteta kwamba ashapewa sifa kwamba ni miongoni mwa makocha bora, lakini nafikiri PSG kuondoka kwa Mbappe na Neymar bado kuna kuonyesha kwamba ni timu ambayo inahitaji iwe na jina kubwa. Kwa hiyo nafikiri wale wa Marquinhos ukimwangalia kina Vitinha ni wazuri, lakini bado wanakosa mtu ambaye anaweza kuisukuma hiyo timu. Kwa hivyo vote vile Arsenal inaonekana kuwa timu nzuri, inastahili kushinda, na PSG bado popote walipo nafikiri wana safari ndefu.
Yes, thank you very much, Mkangai. Now let's take a look at the other happenings from the week. Harambee Stars head coach Engin Firat has named his provisional squad that will face Cameroon in the two-legged tie of AFCON 2025 qualifiers against Cameroon. First leg will be played away in Cameroon. Second leg will be played in Uganda. Now, aside from Engin Firat, we also have other happenings. Remember, the junior starlets are in the Dominican Republic ahead of the under-17 Girls World Cup, which will be taking place in San Domingo. So everybody's looking at them to see how well they will be performing. Now, aside from this, we had the Senegalese head coach, that is Aliou Cissé, of course, depart from the team. Cedric, briefly, Aliou Cissé leaving this team after winning AFCON. What are your thoughts?
Actually, he has left a mark that it will be quite so difficult for any coach, an African coach that is an SS by the race, to lead a team of that magnitude to a level that he has taken, not that has taken this particular team.
Yes.
You go by the history that he has written, starting from all the way from 2002 when he actually really traded for this team of the World Cup quarterfinal. He has come back as a coach and he has really taken the team to Africa Cup of Nations and even won it by himself. Taken the team to several occasions to World Cup, remember in 2018
Yes.
In Russia, which was a very young squad, and it really did a very wonderful goal. If it's not necessarily just thinking of that experience that will come with, I think Japan are the one who quitted them out of the tournament.
Yes,
they again
went
went
to the AFCON 2019 final.
They won 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. They have been back again in. I think that is a massive kind of history that we need really to celebrate him. And I'm really praying hard for him that he doesn't just go back maybe to a sleeping, the sleeping essence, and maybe forget about the matter of football. That is something that is really driving into his really nerves, and he need to continue doing such kind of, even not really in Africa, but think of maybe beyond Africa and try to erase the aspect that African coach cannot really thrive in murky land.
Yes, and the biggest winners of this week were none other than Dortmund. They got a massive 7-1 win against Celtic. Of course, it was a very, very important win for them. And now they sit on top of the standings when you talk about the UEFA Champions League, new league format. Now, Cedric, as we wind up, there's someone here who confuses us. Sijui kama ni mkulima, sijui kama ni mwanaspoti, sijui, I don't know. What do you make of this? Sijui kama anauza nyanya,
vitunguu. It's so strange, Robbie, that sometimes when we are struggling actually to walk our path, you do bring in us farmers.
Yes.
And you know what farmer can be associated with sport.
Yes.
Which means maybe we are sitting in a bouquet of some people who are really associated with themselves with the farmers league.
Yes.
And that essence, sometimes you see him in the realms of politics. Now you are like, is that a kind of a politician who will come here to confuse us? You know what a politician can do to you see, it's quite confusing me to sit around somebody who really have all these arts. Now I'm finding it's hard to place him. I don't know if he's an analyst, neither is a farmer, or maybe he's a politician. Maybe you'll tell me moving forward, where do we place him?
Yes, Asad, sijui jamaa anafitu wapi, manake ni kama amesikiza ground, anataka kurudi kwa mlima.
Huyo ni mtu wa mlima. Huyo ni wa mlima. Usiguse mlima.
Mimi ni mwanabiashara, mkulima, mwanalyst, una analyze ukilima, ukitafuta namna hii. Nyanya shilingi 20.
Shilingi 20?
Deno anauliza.
Moja?
Nyanya imekuwa very expensive.
Wewe acha bali
unatengeneza. Lakini kwa taarifa za Wakenya, nafikiri Wakenya inafaa tuombe kwamba consumer on product.
Exactly.
Na kwenye Radio Masha kila Jumapili saa 7 mpaka saa 8 kuna maisha ni kilimo. Huwa anashughulikia, ndio maana anapiga hizo picha, anazungumzia falsafa. So nafikiri Robi, ukiwa unasikiza pia consumer on product kwenye Radio Maisha, ujue kila kinafanyika Robi.
Asante kwa kukam on my defense.
Nafikiri labda hiyo weekend Jumapili hakuwa alikuwa church na
Kangai, swali langu ni kama angekuwa na show angepiga picha. Okay, let's take a look at what we have this week's slips. Let's quickly run through that. Of course, the fixtures that we've of course have for this week, the teams that we've selected for this week are, of course, now that we do not have the Football Kenya Federation Premier League, we have Brentford versus Wolves, Aston Villa hosting Manchester United, Brighton taking on Spurs, Werder Bremen versus Freiburg, Stuttgart will be hosting Hoffenheim, and then Sevilla will be taking on Real Betis, Real Sociedad will be taking on Atletico, and then Lazio will be facing Empoli, Monza versus Roma, and then Rennes will be facing Monaco. Now, Hassan Juma, let's roll it back to last week. Tuambie ulipata ngapi? Tuanze hapo. Hapo sasa ndio kuna mlima. Tuanze hapo.
Hapo ndio kuna mlima.
Tuanze hapo.
Tuangalie slip yangu ya haraka games za last week. Hassan Juma's slip ya last week ndio hii. Nipata ngapi? Hii ni ya this week. Mbona unatoa mambo ambayo hata bado hatujafika? Huyu ni Dennis Watachi. Hali. Kwa hivyo last week the results. Nafikiri ilikuwa na 7. What do you mean 3? What do you mean 3? Oh. Si 7.
Pale tu. Ani usongieni wewe penye huko hauwezi ruka juu, wewe songa mbele ama nyuma nikaa tu chini. Okay, na nafikiri wajua jukumu letu hapa ni kusaidia pia Wakenya. Wakenya ambao wanatafuta angalau hata shilingi 50 apate 100. So ukifanyia kila siku unaanza kupoteza ile imani na wewe. Kwa sababu yani ni kama unashuka 7 6 hasa itakuwa ni 5.
You mean like when maybe we try to flash back high school times, whereby maybe lunchtime he's one of the fastest guys to sting out for lunch, and then when lunch ends he's still in the dining hall, but he can't absorb.
No, ona sina sababu Juma unaweza chukua break. Yani nafikiri okay, yani uko kwenye show kwa lakini hizi uchukua break kidogo, wewe ni kama hasa umeburn out. Sasa si actually.
No, okay, bado anasaidia. Kuna wenye wanamwamini.
Hakuna kitu hapa.
Kuna wenye wanamwamini.
Red card.
Karaoke. Acha mimi nichukue break basi. Let me take a break.
Leta yangu.
Mtu ya mlima.
Angalia mlima sasa.
Umesema kufa dereva.
Wanasema hali ya mkeka, hali ya gunia ndio hii.
Ni mbaya sana.
No, ni mbaya. Okay, to be honest, wajua hizi slip nasaidia watazamaji. Millions of Kenyans are watching, Nataka tuwasaidie angalau mtu akika hapa kama shilingi zake 10 apate hata 50. Lakini sasa ukipata 6 na imekuwa ni habit.
Lakini unajua simuliniambia ni probation namna hii. Sasa si tunaendelea kujaribu
overstay.
Kuna mtu ambaye amekuwa hapo bado wako kwa 6.
And I think naso mahali umekaa una overtax our patience. Sasa tumekuvumilia sana. Mahali imefika Robi nafikiri mimi naweza kubana na mbinu za Robi. Siona yake. Lakini mahali Robi
najua utapata 8 ama 9.
Na Robi yuko smart. Kama hii itakufanya upenye sawa. Lakini sasa this one is
ngoja niulize. Umesema kwamba mwekezaji akinifuata hapa hatapata hata maziwa.
Hapo unapata nini shwali? Wajua kitu ambacho nafikiri nafaa tujenge imani kwa mashabiki. Ukipata 8 out of 10 anajua kwamba anaweza kuchukua kama timu 5 na yeye apate kitu.
Sasa unasema
6 in F CE.
Shitani. Sasa tuko mbaya.
Lakini wewe na Juma sasa hapo imani imepotea.
Hapana, huyu ndio ukopi slip yangu. Wanakaa pale alafu
asikiza.
Anaenda kusiasa mlima.
Kuna kitu.
Alafu anakuja.
Ngoja. Angalia, Juma, kuna kitu nafikiri ambacho pia Shtemi. Robi huwa cautious na anashinda. Angalia sasa wewe umekuwa cautious 1x GG
zote nje.
Zote cautious lakini na 6.
Hebu tuone Robi. Robi hebu tuone yako.
Of course, before we even look at that, Karaoke, before we even look at what I have to, I'm always a bright student. Cedric has something to tell you. Sedo, what do you have to say to Karaoke?
In a game of marathon, sometimes you can try to cope up with the winning pack, but actually your energy level, if they cannot match the winning pack, you find yourself just dragging yourself behind. And that's why we end up, and I was charming that's why some people end up actually leaving their sports and maybe joining politics. If politics doesn't work, you find yourself in the garden actually trading. And I think that's how he informs what he's currently doing. We have seen him in politics a little bit, now he's in the garden. Maybe he's almost exiting this kind of art to maybe leave the ground either to you and whoever else that you will be recruiting in the near future.
Yes, of course, Karaoke. Now this is how the big boys do it. 10 out of 10. Ebu Soma, 10 out of what? That is how the big boys do it.
Wait, Robbie.
I wait for what?
Wait,
What am I waiting for? I got 10 out of, what should I wait for?
Mkangai has said that my 6 out of 10, you cannot even buy any milk for your kids. Now, yes, you have 10 over 10, but how much are you going to get with over 1.5? The odds.
Cheki, Kariuki, stop thinking about milk. Wacha kufikiria maziwa. Na nyanya. Na nyanya, na vitunguu. This is football. This is all about football. Of course, I got 10 out of 10, and that is why tuko hapa na Cedric, and watu wa 6 out of 10 wako huko chini. So we take a short break. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at what to expect this weekend on the matches that we have on the cards. Cedric Musumba, Cedric Musumba, Hassan Juma, Rogers Ishtemi, Daniel Kariuki, and Stephen Mkangai will be dissecting what to expect on the matches that we have on the cards. But remember, these are the matches that we have for the weekend. Brentford will be taking on Wolves. Aston Villa will be facing Manchester United. Brighton will be hosting Spurs. Werder Bremen will be taking on Freiburg. And then Stuttgart will be taking on Hoffenheim. Sevilla host Real Betis.